You're watching a training video for the Full Control Quality Program created by Lochran Consulting, LLC. This video will cover an overview of observations, and in the video we will cover field names and basic terminology, general layout of the observations form, and viewing the observations report. So to begin, I'll go through all of the fields and cover some basic terminology. An observation is any finding that requires a corrective action. So let's open the All Observations form here. Corrective actions are the individual steps needed to correct the observation. Preventative actions are the individual steps needed to prevent the observation from happening again in the future. Now let's take a look at these fields starting from the top. The observation ID is the unique identifier that shows that this is an observation. So this is 16-1. The first two numbers are the year. So 16 means it was created in 2016, and 1 means that it was the first one created in 2016. So when 2017 started, it started back at 17-1. In 2018, it will be 18-1, and then 18-2, so on and so on. Source is the location where the observation was identified. Criticality is how severe the observation is, and there's a rating guide with the ratings listed by clicking here on the question mark icon. Key element is used to identify the key element that the observation falls under. Observation owner has the ultimate responsibility for the observation and is usually the key element owner as well. The observation partner will be involved in following through to resolve the observation. Target completion date is the date when the observation should have all corrective and preventative actions completed and the observation can be closed by. Deadline to set target date is when the target date must be set by. This has nothing to do with actually completing the observation, just setting the date when it is expected to be completed. This field is set by the business rules controlled by regulators. Target date assigned. This field is automatically filled in when the target completion date is filled in. Status field is also automatically controlled based on whether or not the observation has been closed and accepted by the regulator. The observation details are where the problem that has been identified can be filled in. The attachments field allows you to attach any type of file to the observation. So perhaps a photo showing the issue or documentation that the problem was resolved. Down here is the corrective action section. All correction action steps will be added here and completed as they're done. So if they're no longer relevant, you can check the inactive box here on the right. So I'm going to go to a new record, or the last record, and this is in process. So what I can do is to find one, and we'll say that this is no longer needed. It's irrelevant now. So we still want to keep record that we kept it in the system, so we're not going to delete it, but we can mark that it's inactive here. And now if we go to another record and come back, it doesn't show up unless we click the Show Inactive Actions button. Okay, our next tab is the CA Close Approval tab. And this tab is used for regulators and allows them to accept or reject an observation that has had the initial close by the owner. It also acts as a certification that the observation was closed. So it shows the status, any comments that the regulator added, and these comments are required if the regulator wants to reject the observation or the corrective action. It shows the date approved, who did the final close, and the owner who closed it. The preventative action tab is basically the same as the corrective action tab, but it is the steps that have been identified as needing to prevent the observation from happening again in the future. This tab will only appear if the requires preventative action checkbox is selected. So this checkbox right here. The PA Close Approval tab acts the same as the CA Close Approval tab that we spoke about earlier, but for preventative actions. The Close History tab shows the full breakdown of corrective actions and preventative actions that were closed by owners and regulators. In this case, there are a lot of entries because the owner kept closing it and the regulator kept rejecting it. So here we see that I did all of these, so my name shows as both the owner and the final close by, but you can see that I closed it on November 12th, and then I rejected it, and you see final status rejected on December 12th, and then again closed November 12th, and you could follow this train of thinking all the way down for any of the observations. The Target Date Info tab is a special tab, and it's only used when a target date extension was requested. The top section shows that the regulator has approved or rejected the target date, who approved it or rejected it, and the date of the approval. These two messages down here show important information for the observation. In this case, it shows that the target date extension was requested on March 19th and that the changes were requested on March 19th by me. To show any inactive corrective action steps, click the Show Inactive Actions checkbox here. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but if there's anything in there, it will show these here. And you see that it shows these two inactive actions there when I check this box. Next, I'm going to cover the observations report. So we will use the observations report if we want to view information on multiple observations at the same time. So let's click this button here. This form gives you filter and search criteria for your report. So let's start by leaving all of these empty, and we'll just click OK. This shows us all of the observations currently in the system. For each record, it will show the ID, the status, the owner, partner, observation creator, the date it was created, target date, source, key element, and the criticality level. It also lists the details here and the corrective actions and preventative actions in these two blocks here. So now let's close it and reopen it. And if you want to show information on a specific observation, you can find it in this observation ID drop box here. So you can either find it and click on it, or you could start to type it. And then we'll click OK, and you see that it pulls up that observation ID. So let's close and reopen. And you can also find observations based on any combination of specific filters, including the source, key element, observation owner, observation partner, and criticality. So let's go ahead and we will look for sources of external audit and criticality of major deficiency. And then we'll click OK. And you see that there are two records in there because it's only one page. And those are the only two records that fit both of those criteria. And that's it for this video. So thank you for watching the video. And if you have any questions about anything discussed in the video or want to discuss custom software development, feel free to contact me at joel@lochranconsulting.com or visit me at lochranconsulting.com.